That's me, the Mero Mero, Mr. Richard Montanez. I'm the guy who helped bring the world the most popular snack it's ever seen.
Are you ready?
A huevo. I've been ready. All right, all right. It was a little bit more like this.
Action.
Congratulations on the movie. Yes, I have some Flamin Hot Cheetos there. In
Yay.
Australia, they're imported. They cost $15 a bag.
$15? What? So you have $30 worth of product right there.
Yeah. Just a product placement. So Frito-Lay, if you're watching, just send some my way. I was eating them, watching the movie. So it was a very immersive experience. It was perfect. It was the perfect accompaniment. How good does it feel for you to finally be showing this movie in front of audiences?
Oh my gosh, it feels like forever because we shot this during COVID, like the end of COVID, and was in post for a year. And it's just been such a beautiful ride in making the film, and with the intention of it landing as an inspirational feel-good movie. And the fact that we now show it, like we screened last night, we've been to a couple festivals, but we screened last night here at the Los Angeles Latino Film Festival, and it was like the best audience ever to watch it because it was made for them, by them, and so it was like I just had goosebumps because every joke, every scene that needed to make you cry, everywhere you needed to laugh, like they did it on cue.
And in a way, don't you think that kind of mirrors the story of Richard Montanez and Flamin Hot? The idea that there's this market out there that is not being reached by the mainstream structures. And then along comes a product, or in this case, along comes you in this movie with all of these authentic touches that appeal specifically to this audience.
Authenticity was my North Star. And, when I read the story of Richard Montanez, I was like, oh my God, I am Richard Montanez. I've been told no. I've been told ideas don't come from people like you, that opportunity isn't for you. And so I definitely related to his story and his journey. And I knew this community, inside and out. And so I think that specificity actually broadens the movie.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Like, to me, it's kind of a universal underdog story. So it works on both levels, which I think is very special.
The guy started at the very bottom. I know I don't look it, but I got a PhD. I'm poor, hungry, and determined, sir.
Okay, I can see you're going to be a weird one.
Tell me about meeting Richard. What was that first meeting like? What did you come away thinking?
Well, first of all, there was a script. The script that I read when I got the job isn't this movie. We did a page 1 rewrite with Linda Chavez. So I get the job. I read the script. I get the job, and I immediately hired Linda Chavez to do the rewrite. And we went to go meet Richard and Judy, and we left that meeting, and we were like, "Oh my God, this is a love story." I don't even think Judy was in the original script. And so when you see the movie now, you're like, oh my God, Judy's like the heart of the movie. That's what we took away with. And I always knew I didn't want to make a movie about the history of the Flaming Hot Cheeto. I wanted to tell the true story of Richard Montanez because that was fascinating. So for me, I was like, that's what we kind of came away with, was like, oh, this is a love story. This is about Richard and Judy, and this is about his life, more so than the Flaming Hot Cheeto.
You see that guy right there?
With that guapo right there, yeah, I see him.
Yeah, you do? You see a good man? A special man? Because baby, that's what I see.
That story of his life is inspirational. I think it's also inspiring, the strength of that relationship at the center of the film. And his rise from, janitor to executive at Frito-Lay is just an amazing American success story.
I think that's what makes it universal. It's like an underdog story that everybody can relate to.
Yeah, and then in terms of the actual origin of the Flaming Hot stuff, because there's debate around how that started, I feel like you kind of take that into account in the film. You reference the lab that's dealing with the flavors, and then the PepsiCo CEO says, "Oh, we'll bring those guys out here to work with you, Richard." Like, was it hard to kind of navigate that? And where do you think the truth lies?
No, not at all. The truth is this movie, because it's Richard's truth. And that's why the movie's in his point of view. The entire movie is in his head, in his mind. That's why we have the fantasy sequences. That's why we have, you know, I thought it happened like this, but it really happened like this. Like that, it gave us all this creative freedom to tell Richard's story. But no, all that stuff was already in the script. We, you know, the way food is made is these chemical food chemists make a shelf stable product, right? Like we never said Richard was a food chemist. We never said, oh, Richard mixed maltodextrin with gluco, whatever. His genius was knowing the Latino community. His genius was saying, we need to speak to the growing Hispanic market. Nobody's speaking to us. And that's why he's known as the godfather of Latino marketing. And because, so yeah, it wasn't hard to navigate that at all, especially now that people have seen the movie. They're like, oh yeah, this is clearly Richard's story.
Yeah.
Burns good or burns bad?
It burns good.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Does it feel like over the years, from an outside observer all the way in Australia, it feels like the contributions of Hispanic people, people of color in America, have been appropriated and taken away from them? Do you think we're finally at a time where some of the stories around those contributions can be told, and also told by people from those communities?
Yeah, I was really lucky that this movie was already set up at Searchlight. So they were already fully invested in telling Richard's story. They were like, this is a great story. And they were just looking for the filmmaker. So I didn't have to go through the trouble of like finding financing and finding a distributor and setting it up. So because I had this infrastructure of Searchlight, I was able to make a film that was about my community, but for everybody. And, you know, like I said, the specificity of the story being Mexican American and about this particular man broadens it to the world. Like everybody can relate to his struggle and how he overcame it. And this rags to riches idea. It's a feel-good movie at the end of the day, because if you walk out of the film being inspired, seeing like, if that guy did that with all that adversity, I can do anything.
What was the most rewarding thing about this project as your first feature?
Finishing it and working with this amazing cast in front of the camera and this amazing crew behind the camera. We had almost an entire Latino crew, every department head, you know, so to let the industry know we have amazing stories to tell and we are amazing storytellers.
Yeah, I agree. And you've got a couple of exciting projects coming up, starring and directing 24/7, Spa Day. Like, it feels like Eva Longoria is having a moment right now. Like, tell me about those projects.
You know, they're in development, so there's not much to say about those. But yeah, I'm waiting to see what I'm directing. We'll see.
Yeah, it's so exciting. And in terms of Flamin Hot, like, audiences are finally going to see it all around the world. What do you hope that they take away from it?
Being inspired. I mean, that's really, I want people to walk away inspired and knowing like, wow, I can do anything. And specifically our community of, you know, the Hispanics, you know, they can finally see themselves on screen. And if they can see it, they can possibly be it.
Yeah, amazing. Eva, thank you so much for chatting to me today.
You.
Congratulations again on the movie. I'm going to get into those Flamin Hot Cheetos right now.
Thank
Take
you.
care.